All right, everybody, get started here in just a second. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Joe. Right. All right, everybody. Hey, welcome to Note Night in America. We are honored to have each and every one of you here join us here on this Monday night. This marks the 148th episode of Note Night in America, and just excited about the content. This is a kind of follow-up to last week's Note Night in America. Somebody asked me some questions on after I discussed the big things you should be doing in the fourth quarter, and this is one of the things that we'll be talking about tonight. And it's always one of the things that gets the most amount of questions. Where do I find investors? How do you find them? What do you send to them? What do you say to them? What don't you say? And going from there. But before we dive into that, like I said, excited. Welcome to Note Night America. We've been doing these webinars, going on since 2011. It's our 12th year. And Note Night in America, we've had it as the podcast for a couple of years now. Thank you for listening. We also have the Note Closer Show, which is going to be celebrating its sixth birthday this coming Sunday. It's hard to believe that we cranked out over 1,100 episodes between Note Night in America, the Note Closer Show, and then our Note Camp podcast. So thank you for listening. If you keep listening, we'll keep cranking out content as well for you. But anyway, as we dive into tonight's content about where to find note investors, if it's your first time joining us on here, just so you know, WeCloseNotes.com. What is WeCloseNotes.com? If you're joining us for the first time or watching the replay and stuff like that, we buy and sell non-performing notes, mortgages all across the country. What does that mean? Well, we're buying distressed debt from banks and hedge funds. We're having to use cash or OPM to take these types of deals down. I've been an expert in raising private money for over a decade now. And I work with a variety of different self-directed IRA companies who have investors just like yours out there, anywhere from 25 grand to a couple $100,000 to fund these transactions. And the great thing about self-directed and IRA owners is they're very smart people. And that's really what we like to target. We could talk about going to meetup groups and networking events, and that's great. You're going to find investors at those events, but the most valuable investor we have found has been the self-directed IRA investor. Somebody who's educated, they're smart, they know what the heck we're talking about, and that way we don't have to educate them in a variety. We'll talk more about that in a second, okay? But the companies like Quest Trust, IRA Services, NewView IRA, Cama Plan, Mid-Atlantic IRA, Equity Trust being the biggest one, Quest being the second. There's a variety of self-directed IRA companies out there, over 50 companies and counting as more and more are popping up. But these are great opportunities to help you, help them get an above average return and help you fund your deal, whether it's a note deal, a fix and flip, whatever it might be. It's a great thing to do. But how do you find these people? So here's the big thing that I love about it being easy with self-directed IRA investors. First and foremost, they are or want to be real estate investors, okay? That's the easiest thing. They already are interested in being an investor. You don't have to try to sell them on the advantages of being a real estate investor. 90% of them are already an investor, or they want to be. They've rolled over money from a 401k or a previous IRA. They've gone to a conference, a seminar. They're educated in how valuable a self-directed IRA is, and they're ready to rock and roll. And like I said, they're looking to invest, and they're not going to be active investors. 12% or less is what we're seeing. It's maybe gone up a little bit since the interest rates have gone up out there, but honestly, it's 8, 9, 10% on the average, because most of these investors aren't doing anything, okay? And the great thing about a self-directed IRA investor is that they're willing to do it passively or hands-off. They can't be fixing the property up themselves because it would be self-dealing at that point. So notes work really great in working with IRA investors because it's passive, or as you're working in non-performing note, they're not expecting to get any type of payments. And that's the great thing too, is if they've under 59.5, they're not expecting to be able to use that money immediately, so that money can go back in, or you can set up a creative payment plan where if you're buying a non-performing, you're working to get reperforming, you don't have to start paying until the borrower starts paying, or pay any interest until the deal's done. And here's the big kicker. Oftentimes that money is sitting in a self-directed IRA earning 0%. Now, just give you some numbers here. Numbers from Quest Trust Company, Quest IRA, this was a number from a few years ago, but they've got probably closer to $250 million, 250 million earning zero, because they've raised quite a bit. This is a number a couple of years ago, 180 million. roughly about 30 to 40% of the money they have sitting in their accounts from IRA investors looking to do something is sitting there not earning a dime. Let that sink in. It's earning 0%. And it's been earning 0% for 6, 12, 24 months waiting for somebody to call them. And here's the great thing too. IRA companies, trustees, custodians, they like working with other investors like you and me, especially investors who are creating content or they're willing to be interviewed to talk about a case study or two. You don't have to do 20 deals. Hey, you've done 1 or 2 deals, reach out to your IRA company. They'd often be glad to do a case study, especially if you use the self-directed IRA investor to make it happen. Whether it's at a webinar they're doing, a video, or even like an event or conference that they host, it's a great way to get the word out on what you're doing and raise a lot of capital and really make it a win-win scenario. Okay. Now, there is a lot of low-hanging fruit when it comes to IRA investors. That's what we love about it. Okay. And with self-directed IRA owners, it really comes down to a numbers game. Okay. Now, what I mean by it's a numbers game, look, a lot of people think we've got to have millions and millions and millions of dollars. No, you don't need to have millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's great if you do, but with self-directed IRA investors, roughly 67% of all the IRAs out there have 150 grand or more in them. Okay. 67%. So you only need 5, 6, or 7 investors to really help you raise $1 million in private capital. Now, what we like to do is we like to leverage public information, recorded documents, the appraisal districts, and the county clerk to find these investors that have pulled the trigger and use their IRA, or at least use some of their retirement accounts to go out and pull the trigger. They often have other money. Maybe if they've used all their IRA money, maybe they've got something sitting on the sidelines. We find most of them do. So if you go to the county clerk, this will work just about in every county, and do a deed search and type in the IRA custodian name, you'll find people. If you go to the county appraisal districts and actually look for somebody who has bought a home, so you're going to type in like equity trust, and I'll walk you through this like I did beforehand. You can actually see people and see names and see homes that have been bought as investment properties with IRAs. Okay, you're going to search for the trustee name: Equity Trust, Quest Trust, Quest IRA, Mid Atlantic. It will vary where they're at in the country, because like in Texas is big for Quest Trust out of Houston and San Antonio and Austin and Dallas offices, right? Not so big for Pensacola, all right? But Equity Trust, you can search just about everywhere because they're the biggest and have done a really great job of marketing over the years, okay? Now, what I always like to do is, if you can, cross-reference the IRA owner by just looking, if their name shows up, just to look for their name in that same county, see if they own other real estate or investor in any other way, okay? You can also pull these lists for free. They don't cost you anything to pull. It just takes some of your time, and each county is a little bit different. You just got to spend a little time going through it. So we'll go through that a little bit. So this is, I'll give you an example. We went to the Orange County Appraisal District, Property Appraisal District. That's Orange County, Florida. And we just did a quick search up here for, right there in the search bar, typed in Equity Trust, and it pulled up a chunk of 111 total records. Okay. You can see Equity Trust Company for the benefit of Equity Trust custodian 90% interest with somebody's name. Now, when we clicked on the specific name, we can see Equity Trust Company custodian. The property address is 3736 Grove Circle Unit 1474 in Zellwood, Florida. The mailing address, this is important. The mailing address shows 1745 Chatham Street in Racine, Wisconsin. That's the mailing address of the IRA investor. Now, if it said like Elyria, Ohio, or One Equity Way in Elyria, Ohio, I know that mailing address is for Equity Trust. It's not what I want to mail to. But now, doing a quick search, I found this investor who's used their IRA, and they live in Racine, Wisconsin, and they invested in this condo. Okay. The great thing next, if you click on the property record, it pops up here, and you can see kind of when it was sold. So you can see back in here, 2012. They only paid $10,000 for this back in like 2012, 2013, when the deed was bought. Or these are actual sales analysis of other properties that have sold roughly in the area. but they've owned this one for a while. Okay. Now, the great thing about this is probably appreciated. If you click on the deed, look at the deed records, you can see that it's equity trust. Same thing we did a search. If we go to the deed search on the clerk and search for equity trust custodian or equity trust, it pulls up for the benefit of Kenneth B. Wagner. Well, guess what? That is the IRA investor's name. And if we click on the actual document, you can see all that information right there. It'll pull up actually like the mailing address a lot of times. Okay. Now, if you've got a relationship with a title company in a specific county, you can ask them to pull that information for you if you want to. It may cost you to have them pull it, but you can do this free of charge. So in like one county I showed you, we pulled equity trust. It had 111 names. We looked for New View IRA. It had 116 because New View's kind of big down in Orange County, Orlando, Florida. Other IRA custodians, there's 30 available as well. So roughly in just a few minutes, when we did that search, there was 257 quality IRA investor leads in Orange County, Florida. Now, you're not going to look for FBO for the benefit of, you're not going to look for IRA. You'll find all the people named IRA in there, okay? But you got to type in Equity Trust, Quest Trust, New View, whatever the 50 names are that you're going to search. You can literally just do a master list for self-directed IRA custodians, okay? But 257, if you send a postcard or a letter out to that, you get a 4% response rate. That's 10 people that respond. That's basically almost all the people you need, okay? Now, when we narrowed down the search easier out of the 257, it actually gave us 175 leads, okay? 175 leads that actually had the actual mail-in addresses to their physical address, not going to Quest, not going to Equity Trust, okay? And then we also were able to find phone numbers for a big amount of those folks also by cross-referencing that mail-in address with whitepages.com or spokio.com. You can often find phone numbers on there. So that's really kind of nice, right? Now, we also did this in Texas. We went to the county appraisal districts and we did a search for Quest Trust and Quest IRA and Equity Trust in the top 25 counties in Texas, not 12, sorry. And it gave us just over 2,400 names, or records, I should say is a better thing. We were able to narrow that down and skip trace that 2,500, 2,400 plus names to a skip trace service. And that came back with 421 emails, names, and cell phone numbers for most of them. But we like the emails because the emails don't cost anything to send like a postcard does, right, ladies and gentlemen? Right now, once you get these leads, what do you say? All right, well, before we dive into that, I know somebody asked me that online. Don't worry about that. We'll get to you in a second and show you that. But if you do the same search on the deed records versus the appraisal districts, it's going to pull up, like we did Equity Trust, we found 75 people from Equity Trust in the last 12 months. New View had 137 in the last 12 months. This is off of Orange County, okay? And with a deed, it will often give you the amount that it is lent out. Or you can do a release of lien as well and see how much they lend out and how much they're getting back. So this is a beautiful thing. You can see somebody lend out 75 grand or 50 grand or 250 grand from their IRA and who they lent it to, okay? Now, how do we contact them? Let me go through this, and it's a process. So make sure you take some notes, ask some questions. And yes, I'm monitoring the chat roll on our live stream here on Zoom, also on YouTube, okay? All right, so how do we contact them? It is a process. 80% of sales is made after the 5th contact. You have to realize that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you harvest a list of 200 names, then work that name of 250 at a time is what I say. Okay, 50 postcards, 50 letters, 50 contacts. Work that 50 at least 3 or 4 times before you reach out, before you start doing another 50, because you may only need 50, okay? So we like to target low-hanging fruit, and that's if we can do a quick search online for that person's name through LinkedIn or Facebook. Hey, we're going to reach out to them directly on there. Why wouldn't you, right? LinkedIn is a really good thing. We'll pull a list of names and look, see where their mailing address is, and that allows us for, like, if it's Steve Smith in Pasadena, California, well, we can go to LinkedIn and see if there's a Steve Smith in Pasadena, California. And yeah, it may pull up a lot of names of Steve Smith, but we can start looking at investors and, hey, just send a message. Hey, are you Steve Smith who bought a property at 123 Pasadena Way, whatever? Our next favorite thing is dropping a postcard, because a postcard is going to be a guaranteed open, right? It's simple to do. You could actually pull up a picture of the property. This has actually worked in my favor. Somebody's mailing me before, hey, we see that you own this property. Would you be interested in talking about it? And I'm like, heck yeah. If somebody sends me a picture of the property I own. So what I like to do is if I'm speaking or spoken in an event, like a meetup group, or I speak, like I'll give you an example. I'm going to maybe going up to like Boston in a few months, okay, to an event. Well, I'll take the time to pull a list of people who are in the Boston market, roughly about a 5-mile range from about where I'm at. And I'll do a search in that county for people who have a self-directed IRA. Well, then I'll send out a postcard to them and say, hey, I'm going to be in your area. I'd love to talk with you. See that you've used your IRA. If you're looking for more deals, I'm going to be speaking at this such and such time. Come out and be my guest. Okay. And I've used this for a local event when I spoke at Quest or New View. I've used this when I actually spoke at the REI Expo or Think Realty conferences. When I was hosting a meetup, I've done it locally. I've also done it when I hosted a meetup in Lee County, Florida, down at Cape Coral. Or if I've been asked to speak at a real estate investing club, I'll do it as well ahead of time. Okay. Just takes a little bit of preparedness. Now, you could start a meetup group in your local area and invite people out to your local meetup, as long as you're harvesting people in your local area. Okay. Now, if I can, I'm going to try to record me speaking, or I'll send over a video link in the postcard with like a link, a CAPTCHA, QR code where they can scan. And actually, there's a short video of me. Hey, thanks for thanks for responding to my postcard. Love to talk with you and share with what we're doing. You might even do it like quite a few of our students are doing QR codes on a postcard. It takes them to their website, or it takes them to their pitch deck video, which is about 10 minutes long, talking about what they'll do. Okay. Here's kind of a sample postcard. I ordered these in bulk. I've got 6,000 that I ordered for these from Postcard Mania at the time. On the backside, it just has our website, contact address, contact phone number, and the rest is blank. Because what I'll do is then I'll do a mail merge through Avery labels and put a custom message on it, and really maximize the space with the postcards. And you can use 5x7s. Vista print's fine to use 50 at a time. I just like the glossy and the quality that Postcard Mania does in a lot of cases. But we got some people that you send out cards as a service to do that, and they customize that individually. Okay. Now, we send a postcard out first. If somebody responds, guess what? You don't have to send them another postcard. You keep them, if they respond and you grab their email, or they opt into something, great, you got their contact, you just drop them an email going forward. But they don't respond. So let's say you send out 50 letters, you get a 4% response rate. That's 8 people respond. Well, then what do? You send out a letter to the other 42. Now, my letter is a little bit more advanced. It's nice color. It's going to cost a little bit more than the postcard, but it's a pretty simple thing. Now, if you've ever taken our 3-day workshop, our sample letters are literally in the manual. Okay. It's like this one. Hey, Deborah, I came across your information with the public records in Dallas County. You might be a private investor who might have funded a real estate purchase through your IRA account. Did you fund this for a real estate investment? If you didn't, please disregard this letter. But if you did, you might want to read a bit further. I'm a partner and principal in Inverse Investments and WeCloseNotes.com. We're an Austin-based real estate investment firm that specializes in buying defaulted residential and commercial notes direct from banks. We've been in business since 2007, and I was recently, you talk about, hey, we've closed on $500,000 in assets, or we've bought over $10 million in distressed real estate. You could use something talking about what you're doing. So why am I writing you this letter? It's because of 2 simple reasons. First, I'm hoping to build a larger list of buyers for our notes. The second reason is we're looking for joint venture or funding partners to help us take down larger portfolios of notes by getting better deals at steeper discounts. Please see the sample deals I've included to give you a feel for what we do. We come across all types of residential and commercial notes all across the country that are phenomenal short-term and long-term investments, and we enjoy the opportunity to discuss these deals and the opportunities that we have available. If you're interested, please give me a phone call. And then I also, I was speaking this one night about a month out, and so I invited them out to the event. And I sent out 100 letters. We had 20 people actually show up from Dallas County, Bexar County, Travis County, and Williamson County. Because we sent out like 500 letters, now that I think about it, because we sent through a couple of counties. Well, 20 people show up to this event I'm speaking at, and we converted about 10 of them. That's a pretty good return on investment. Now, when I say about the types of deals, I include a couple of case studies, or I included a flyer to where I'm speaking at. If you're going to be at a REI Expo or something like that, you can include a flyer in there with a discount code. Many of your promoters that are putting on these events will be glad to give you a discount code or a comp ticket if you're going to be promoting people on your own and sending stuff out. I put my executive summary about the company and about me, so they have a little bit better feel for what we're doing. Then the case studies. I'll put 3 really nice case studies, one short term, one long term, one middle, usually a performer, a non-performer, and then one's a foreclosure. So they get a good feel for what it is. These case studies work so well. I've had people that took these exact case studies. They didn't change the logo or the information on it. And they literally sent out the flyers to their list. Well, the people called me, they didn't call them. So like, hey, I got this flyer from somebody else that had your information. I'm interested in investing with them. I'm like, okay, this sounds great. But you could use your own case studies. It's always good if you're a coaching student. We're going to give you plenty of case studies to help you if you're brand new. But they're just kind of simple. Picture the property, a brief explanation of it, not anything too, you don't want to get diarrhea of the mouth and too much information. Make it simple so that a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old can understand it. Okay. Now, what I also like to do, I like to work with IRA companies. I'm mailing in an area. Oftentimes I can get them to give me a flyer, or they'll even print a lot of the stuff up for me. And they'll, like I like to send out contribution limits. This is a few years old, obviously, but we'll send out a flyer, know your options, start a new IRA account, roll it over, get a free account when you start with us or something like that. And then I also like to add an article, so here's an article that we were in Investor Review magazine from Think Realty. And this basically was a case study of 2 case studies we talked about, where we had 2 investors that we talked with who talked about using their IRA to invest in our note deals. And they talked about how it worked out. So it's a really good case study. You could create a blog or 2. And that's what we send. This is the back side of that page. So this literally 1, 2, 3, 4, like 6 pages, 6 front and back pages, or actually, hang on. That's 1, 2, 3. It's like 5 or 6 front and back pages. So it's a little thicker mail piece, but it is so worth it because it adds a lot of content. It's heads and above against somebody sending a yellow letter out, right? It gives people plenty of information to read up about me. They get to know what we're about, and it's literally kills. Okay. Now here's the thing. We follow up and up and up and up and follow up again. So first and more, like I said, we get that postcard, which is the quick hello. Who's going to be the low hanging fruit that respond to it? And like I said before, the postcard, we hire our VA to pull the list and look at LinkedIn to see if we can find them on LinkedIn first, or do a skip trace to find them, their email addresses. That's the first thing we do. If we can't find that information, then they get a postcard. Then they get a letter like we talked about. Then we follow back up with a postcard to another local event or my ebook or something valuable. You don't have to do this every week. This is like once a month. So like 50 to 100 postcards, 50 to 100 investors. This could take you a couple of weeks to do. You work to harvest those, that low hanging fruit, and that's 100 that you pick. Okay. Then maybe you send back another letter. Hey, we just closed on this deal. Our investor is making 8% for 24 months. How's your IRA working for you? I mean, we've worked with a different variety of case studies. A postcard, another postcard. What I like to do is send out a workshop invite. Hey, if you'd like to learn how to invest in notes, be my guest for free. All right. Or you may send them a video series or do something, Then also a letter. Hey, if you don't have a self-directed IRA, you may want to check out, New View or Quest or Equity Bust or whoever's local to you. Okay. That's always a really nice thing, especially if you have that going on. And then we just follow up. So it's just a touch base with them, follow up. Here's a recent deal. Here's a case study. Here's a deal that we're working on. Here's who we are. It's not anything difficult. Okay. But does that make sense, everybody, what I just shared with you tonight so far? There are no dumb questions. Just keep your questions relevant to the content we're discussing tonight. Joe liked this, very good info. Yeah, I mean, so like Joe, you're here in Travis County. So let's what do you say we let's do a quick search. What do you say? Let's go over to the internet. So the website I like to use to find all the counties out there is netraonline.com. Okay. So we click on public records online. And Joe is here in Texas. And he's here in Austin, Texas, which is, we'll do Travis and Williamson County just to give you a bit of an idea. Now, there is one caveat. If you're in California, Arizona, Massachusetts, Minnesota, and New York, they're not going to let you search by name at the appraisal district. It's going to be you have to search by property address, which isn't going to work. The deed searches still works. All right. Or you can pay a company like Equity, Exact Data or Melissa Data pull a list of just generic IRA owners for you as well. Okay. But this is always going to be better because these people have literally bought real estate with their IRA. So okay, so we go to Travis County here. All right. Give it a second. It's going to pull up all the county offices. All right, so we got the clerk, which we'll look at in a second, but we're going to look for the appraisal district. So we go to data online, and you can do this in other counties. If you're in a state that doesn't let you search, then go to Ohio, do a search in Ohio or Michigan or Florida. God's waiting room has a ton of counties that can search. Plenty of other counties out there. If your county like Wayne County is a little difficult mission because they want to charge to access, and that's fine. Go to a different county. Just don't get so bogged down. Although I can't find, like I was doing a search, I think last week for somebody, and we just couldn't make it work because they didn't have the right county. I was like, well, just move on. Plenty of investors investing outside of their own state. Okay, come on now, Netra Online. That's my luck. It would freeze. All right, so here we go. We're the property search. We're just going to go down here. Give it a second for the website to load. Come on now. There we go. Okay, property search. Now this will take you over where it's going to search for either a name, an owner name, address, or property ID number. And it's running real slow tonight. There we go. Okay, so see account owner name. So we're going to go in here and just type in Equity Trust. And hit search. This is 2023. I would search the last 2 years. So, because some people will sell their house and move off. So there you go. There is 140. Looks like. Let's take this up. I didn't save it. Okay, that's all right. Let's try it once more. Equity Trust. Hit search. So there you go. We got 20 per page, and we've got 7 pages. So we have 6 full. So we've got a total of 124. It's great, right? 124 IRA investors. Now, if we click on one of these, let's just click on this one here. You can see this is Equity Trust Company, and the mailing address is 8127 Mesa Drive, Austin, Texas. Well, that's the mailing address of the owner of this property. Now, the address of the property is 11201 Averion Lane because that's the address of that. But the owner's name is Equity Trust. He's an investor. So I would just say when I send my email out or my letter out, just be Equity Trust Company. All right. I can't really send an email out to Equity Trust because I don't have an email address. When I skip trace it, it may not show that, but I would add this to my list to send out to, with a postcard or a letter. Okay. Let's click on this one here. It says, for the FBO. So let's click on this one. And you can see Equity Trust Company, custodian for the benefit of Paul Millsap IRA and Kerry Parker. So we have 2 names, and their mailing address is P.O. Box 340849, Austin, Texas. So we've got 2 IRA investors that you could send this out to. And the property address is Stroop Circle. So there you go. You just got to spend some time going through some of these. You got an export button here. Let's go back and see if it lets us export the whole list here real fast. Download. working. Do you see how powerful this, ladies and gentlemen? You've got, in literally like 5 minutes, we found 111 investors and then some. And if we download, I want to see how good the download is. Let me pull this up so you can kind of see what the download looks like. But that's just one company, Equity Trust. The other one I would search would be Quest Trust Company. We'll look at that in just a second, so you can kind of see that. But you got 111 names there here locally. That's just in one county. We haven't even looked at Williamson County or others. And let's see here. It is pulling it up. Give it a second. And I'll share it so you can see exactly what it's doing. But you can literally just copy exactly what I did, and you've got 111 investors to mail out to. It's opening. It says it's opening up here. I just downloaded a big file about an hour before, so hopefully it's not too difficult. It's trying to. All right, so if we go back here, it's giving me a little bit of a heartache here. All right, let's go back here. Let's do a search for Quest Trust, which should be pretty good as well. And for Quest Trust, hit search. And Quest had a total of 21. Okay. Let's look for Quest IRA. And that had, so this is, oh, this had, so 27. So that's 21 plus 27 is 48. So that's over 160, right at 160 IRAs for you. No, that's 100, sorry, it's more than that. That's over 200 IRAs for you. 160 originally, 164, and then we got 48 here. That's all the IRA investors you need in just one county right there. All right. Let's see, is it opened up now? It has. Okay. So okay, here we go. So you can just see, so just downloaded just the 20 at a time, which is okay. You can download it and copy paste it over, but there you can see the full equity trust for the benefit of, the property address, the legal description. So that what I don't like on this is it doesn't give you the mail-in address. Okay. It gives you the property address, but you can go back in or individually hire a VA to do it and go back and forth and make this. Hey, Smart at the mouth. I like you, buddy. Good stuff. Good evening to you too there on our live stream. But there you go. That's easy. You got the list, property address. You can put the mail-in address, zip code. You can start having your VA start searching for Brian Schroeder, James Soletti. So let's do that. Let's look at Brian Schroeder here because that's a kind of unique name there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I gotcha. And but you just go over to LinkedIn and start searching there. That's what I would do, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Does that make sense from what I'm talking about? This is not difficult. Let's go back over here to the county records and do a search for a deed search. Okay. Appraisal district, easy peasy, right? We go to Netrovac to Netro Online and go to Travis County and do the clerk search or the recorder's office, one of the two, okay? So we're gonna click on here, the Travis County clerk. Usually the deed record, depending on how long you're running the search for, will vary. Okay. If you're doing it for just 1 year at a time, it may not be that many, maybe 20 to 60, depending on where you're at. Okay. All right, so we hit real estate, party list. Equity trust. And there you go. It pulled up quite a few names there. So you could go through these individually and you can see all the county records. So there you go. Equity trust, equity trust, equity trust. So you had these 20 people that popped up. Okay. There's 300 records found on our full count. Okay. Get full count. Click on that. It'll pull up. There we go. The full 300 names. And I would send your VA through this. Like we click on the first one here. Let's view it. It's going to show you the deed. Okay. Warranty deed with vendor's lien. And if we go in and see this, equity trust for the benefit of George Christian retirement account. And his mailing address is care of Citibank, 451 Montgomery Street, San Francisco, California. Okay, so that's where he lives. Because equity trust does not have an office in San Francisco, but that's where George Christian lives, which is great. So that's one, right? Let's go to the next one. Put that down. We'll just click on another one here. View this one. And you can see the deed search, once again, is equity trust company custodian for the benefit of. Now, this one just has an IRA number. Okay. Doesn't give you a name, but it does give you, guess what? A different mail address. 4301 West William Cannon Drive, B150-425, Austin, Texas, 78749. There you go. And that's what you do. Oh, you know what? And maybe it didn't show you that. Hang on a second here. Sorry. Let me share this new image with you so you have a bit of an idea what I'm talking about. All right, so see if this helps you kind of see. It might not let you see it. Zoom might be not letting, but if you click on the actual, there we go, it popped up on the screen now for you. Click on the deed image, and then you can see the information I'm talking about down here with the mailing address. This one says Paul Millsap IRA, which we talked about earlier, and the PO box, blank, 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 Austin, Texas. So there you go. Now, that's 300 names plus the 200 plus the 300 names search on just equity trust. And then the 200 plus names that we found by looking for equity trust and Quest Trust at the county appraisal district. That's 500 potential. I mean, that's not going to be completely 500, but let's just say 75% of that. 375 investors. That's all you need. If you will just use the marketing tactics that we use, you'll have more than enough. You get a 2% response rate to 375. That's 8 people. If you send it out and you send it out a postcard to all those people and send it out 4 or 5 times, you're going to get more investors than you can do with. Now, it's important that you have a website. It's important you have an executive summary. It's important that you look professional. If you've got a ghetto-looking headshot, or you look like a hood rat, or it's an old photo on LinkedIn, or just don't have anything professional, look professional. Start doing that. It's going to help you convert a lot more. You got to realize, if I would invest with the person I'm looking at, is anybody else going to? Okay. All right. And if you're looking for some help on that, or understanding, hey, does this make sense? Does this look good? Feel free to reach out, book a call me at talkwithscottcarson.com. Shoot me an email with your website or link, and I'll be glad to give you my honest opinion. It's constructive criticism to help you do better. Because I know that there's plenty of money out there. There's plenty of deals out there. We just need to make money. How you make money as a note investor, you put the two together. You go find the deals, you find the money, and you put yourself in the middle, and you make a nice ROI sandwich, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Any other questions, comments before I let you go tonight? Pretty simple process. It's a postcard, a letter, an email, a social media follow-up. Those are the things. You rotate through those. Find them on social media. Send them an email if you can. Skip trace them. If not, then you go to LinkedIn or you go to Facebook or you send them a postcard. But look at your list. Work through that list. You do this in the counties that you're investing in or where you're located and allows you to do that, you're gonna be successful. All right. And hopefully I blowed your mind tonight and help you to do this. But there's some people out here that are charging $1,500 to $2,000 to share exactly what I just shared with you. And I did this on Note Night in America for you. So if you like it, make sure you comment. If you're listening to the podcast, please leave a review. I'd love it if you left a review on the podcast, whether it's the Note Night in America or the Note Closer Show podcast. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. If there's any other questions about anything, we'll let you get back to your Monday night. Thank you, Joe. Hopefully it helps you and Peter. Aaron, Annette, Kenneth, Randy, Salmon, a few of you guys that are on there tonight. Good to see you out there. Hopefully it was helpful. We'll have the replay. If you joined us late, we'll have the replay out by tomorrow. So anyway, thanks again for listening, watching, and we look forward to making you better and going out and closing some deals. But anyway, guys, feel free, book a phone call with me, talkwithscottcarson.com if you want to talk notes, training, or just want to shoot the breeze about your investments. I'd love to visit with you. So thank you again. Have a great evening, and we'll see you all at the top, everybody. Bye.